Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nerds and Heresy, our first Q&A show, where we're just going to hang out and answer some questions. I'm also going live on TikTok in case things start to die down, and I'll get plenty of traffic on that.
I got mine up too, although I never go live, so I will not have any traffic on mine. I'll turn that down just a little bit.
You know, a professional would have turned off the television first, but an ADHD motherfucker does not
hear that shit going on, so he's very confused.
It's a good thing no one ever accused us of being professional.
Well, they certainly don't accuse me of being professional, at the very least.
does not hear that shit going on.
I don't either.
Okay. So I'm setting up my shit, sorry. But yeah, no, I think we were just going to take this opportunity to just answer questions from the crowd, essentially. However, and just kind of shoot the shit.
Yeah, pretty informal. We want to do a. Oh shit! I can hear myself in I think your monitor.
Can you? Oh, that's not good. Here, I'll turn you down. Was that better?
Checking. Testes. That is better.
Bad.
Yeah, so we just wanted to interact with you guys more because we don't really get to do that when we have a guest on. So yeah. Also, shout out to Athena, or a Nocturnal Atheist. She sent me a charging stand dock for my phone for when I go live, and I'm using it now, and it's fantastic. Like it. Yeah. Oh, Meaning Forge is in here.
Yep. Well, I don't know. That's always the problem I have is that, and hell, my shit's almost dead right now. I'm gonna plug it up while I'm doing this. But no, I don't know. I just
Grumpy
had that thought before too, that like when we have people on, it's, you know, we always have like a set. That's what I'm looking for. I can't brain today. I have the doctor. You know, we have people on, there's a set topic, and then like people will ask questions in the comments that like we want to answer, but it's like we have a guest on, and that might not necessarily be their forte, and you know, I don't know. I almost think it's kind of rude in a sense to be like, yeah, well, you know, fuck this guy. Let's talk about XYZ for, you know, 20 minutes to an hour, depending on how long it would take to go over a topic like that. And I know something that we've had both a lot of lately is that the distinction between the different names of God. And you got the, I want to get a physical copy of this book. Some of the books on my book list I have digital copies of, and the physical copies are like outrageously expensive. There's one that's Yahweh and the Gods and Goddesses of Ancient Canon by John Day. And that book is like $350 if you buy it online. Or you can find a scanned EPUB of it on the internet that's cheaper from a legitimate source. Anyway, but you just got The Faces of God by Jacob Rabinowitz.
Yeah.
So you're going through that. What are you, like? You got any first impressions? How far are you in there?
I'm only into the second chapter.
Okay.
I don't get a lot of time to read, so it takes me a long time to get through a book. But yeah, so far, I haven't really heard anything too new that I didn't already know. But just getting started.
Well, yeah, but it does. I feel like it covers certainly like the whole point of like the faces of God. It's all the different names of God that are explored in the Bible, and like just off the cuff, there's like 7. What's up? What are you doing for the live? No, I've got it set up. It's cool. I appreciate you very much. No, but that initial distinction that exists between El and Yahweh, but then there's, you know, Elyon, El Shaddai, El Elyon, and so on and so forth. So it's been a minute for me. I don't know.
Twisty?
Twisty. God damn it.
I have a thing. No, I don't.
You got a knife that works?
What's going on?
She brought me a beer, and it's not.
Twisty.
I don't have a. Anyway.
So
the whole 616 thing and the Oxyricus parchment, that is basically the difference of Nero Caesar and Nero Kaiser. That's what that
Close. Sorry. So it's Neron, Nero and Neron. So that's a specific kind of, oh my God, my child is freaking the hell out. Can you hear him?
Not really. Yeah, I don't know. The research I've done.
Sorry, he's slamming his head into the wall. What is your problem, little dude? I love him very much, but he is not having a good day right now.
Kids are the worst. Yeah, so
what I was saying, sorry, Nero and Neron. So that it John the Elder even calls it a cipher when he's writing it. And the distinction there was that the Hebrews would know to read that as a name and not as a number necessarily. But if somebody was looking at it in Latin, it would look like nonsense. So it's the distinction between Nero and Neron, because the N symbol is worth 50, essentially, if you think of it that way. So you take the N off of Neron Caesar, which was I want to say the Hebrew spelling, and you go to Nero Caesar, that removes 50 from the number 666, and you get 616.
okay.
But Caesar and Caesar, like Caesar is just the actual way you're supposed to pronounce that word. Like, but there's no difference in spelling for Nero. Caesar.
I saw there was 2 different spellings in what I read.
Well, there's like Sar, which is CZR.
Maybe that's what it was.
But yeah. But that's, yeah, if you pull that, hell, I think that's on the Wikipedia for 666, as a matter of fact. So I can stream real quick and just pull it up, and it just explains what the different number breakdowns for each of them is.
We don't have to go into super in depth with it. We got a lot of questions that I want to answer.
My child is an escape artist. He just figured out how to escape his crib, and so he's going to do that.
The entire time.
I hope not. I'm sorry, very, very sorry. Will you put him back in bed until he understands that he is not going to get out of being in bed? Maybe take away his stuffies. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, it's not like anybody accused us of being professional.
If you have to leave, I can handle this until you get back.
No, we can't. Don't let him lie to you.
So no worries.
I will at the very least mute my in between screams.
That'll work.
Jesus fucking Christ. It's bad. I at the very least want to say what that cipher is called, what that type of spelling. So it's spelled out, but it's interpreted numetrically. It's geomatria, or gematria. Sorry, Gematria.
Okay. What are your favorite?
Someone asked how 420 translates in that cipher. You could probably find a way to make a name translate to 420. I don't have anything for you off the top of my head.
Yeah, that's possible. Favorite, least favorite, apologist or theologian. It's hard to pick a favorite because they're all terrible. But when I was a Christian, I studied William Lane Craig a lot. He's not convincing at all anymore. But at the time he was. And the worst is probably Ray Comfort.
Oof.
Like he knows he's wrong, but he repeats his own bullshit anyway.
Well, we talked about that. I feel like most of those kinds of people know that they're wrong at that point, but they want to make money. They want to manipulate people.
I think what it is, it's been explained to him numerous times that there's no such thing as macroevolution, but he still, perpetuates that. So, he's either just being dishonest or doesn't really give a shit about the truth, or both. It's probably both.
Well, that's the thing about the bananas is it's perfectly blah, blah. We made them that way.
Yeah.
We bred bananas to be seedless and to have a certain shape and taste to them. So, Ray's the best just for the bananas. There are people having fun in our comments.
To see that.
Hello, Mommy Foul.
By the way, you guys, in my live stream, yeah, Rachel's handling that. Just want to say hi to everybody down there.
Why do we go live at the same time? Because we're doing a thing. I'm supposed to be professional. Sorry, I got people. I actually have people in my live too. What? That's amazing. Mythology book recommendations. Well, that's a question for me, huh? Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman's got this really good book on the Norse mythology that's really interesting. I have a newer-ish book that I really love, Blemeyer's Magic of the Celtic Otherworld. Can you hear the banshee in my house right now?
No, actually.
He's kind of loud, but not super loud. You said no?
I can't really hear it at all.
Okay, well, that's good. Magic of the Celtic Otherworld. I just love the font. Look how pretty this fucking font is. I don't know if you can tell. It's a little blurry.
I can see that.
It has like pronunciation guides and everything. So like that's my jam though. That's the distinction for me between studying like Abrahamic mythology and basically any other mythology is that that's a labor of love. I actually enjoy that.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not it's real is irrelevant. They're just good stories, or at least better stories. Most of them have some sort of moral or lesson to be learned. You know, we're talking about Neil Diamond. What? Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman. Am I fucking up the pronunciation on that? Is that why people are giving me shit?
Gaiman?
Diamond. What? I'm not sure what's going on there.
He's not that bad.
Thoughts on prophetic preachers?
No, prophet preachers. Preachers for profit. Churches for profit.
Oh, I thought you meant prophet.
No.
I mean, it's a job. There's staff at churches. They have to get paid. There's a cost of upkeep that, you know, it is a business at the end of the day. But when it crosses a line is when you are paying the head pastor way more than you should. Like the last church I attended, he was making $80,000 a year. And he was a fucking terrible preacher, just horrible.
Pull back my hood so you can see my eyes go up. 80,000 a year?
80,000 a year. Like, it's like you shouldn't be making that much.
Fuck. Like nobody who runs a church or works at a church or is a part of a church should be making a salary at all. Boom. End of story.
Yeah. That's the way it used to be.
And if they do, they should pay their fucking taxes.
Yeah, churches should definitely be taxed. Especially if you're going to pay your pastor that much. Fucking tax the church. Separation of church.
I'm the nocturnal atheist. If the Old Testament doesn't apply anymore, and Paul never met Jesus and was only writing his own thoughts, and the Gospels about Jesus' life were written anonymously, what's the point? I mean, like, there's at a certain point we're just going to be all kind of jerking each other off, but like control. That's what that boils down to.
And misinformation, like that's not being taught in church, like at all. In church, the Gospels were written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. 4 eyewitnesses, his closest disciples. That's how we know it's true. It's because it was written by eyewitnesses. Then you go and find out, no, the fuck it wasn't. Given the 52-year or 56-year average life expectancy at that time, the disciples were probably dead by the time the Gospels were written, because they were written 30, 40, 60 years after his death. So they might have been dead by the time, and they're Arabic-speaking Christians. They weren't Greek. Whoever wrote the New Testaments were fluent in Greek, which, yeah, the disciples definitely were not. So, but that shit they don't tell you about because they probably don't know it themselves. Or they do, and they don't think you can handle it. Just kind of way the Catholic Church, and then Martin Luther, that whole thing went down. But yeah, it's a rabbit hole. Okay, where are we at?
We had another person ask about recommendations for Mesopotamian mythology, like that era, Israel specifically. I have a couple in my book list. I have Samuel Kramer's Sumerian mythology, which it talks backwards. I'll have to fix that. And then I love this one. It's Black God by Julian Baldick. It goes the Afro-Asiatic roots of the Abrahamic God. Insofar, Mesopotamian Sumerian society was influenced by Hinduism and certain African tribal religions. It's all religious syncretism. It's all not quite appropriation, but diaspora, where shit blends over time. Hell, they try to do that with Yahweh in the Roman Empire. Like at first, they were trying to sort of, in the same way that Elyon merged into Yahweh, they were trying to make Yahweh and Zeus like conflated, to make them the same person, to bring these people into the fold, as it were. But that was like the ultimate heresy to the Christians at the time, and they were like, that's not fucking happening, that's not true. And at a certain point, Constantine's kind of like, I feel like he did it like with that, like that same plan in mind, that eliminating like the concept of other gods would unify the empire. So there wouldn't be that divide between the followers of Ares and the followers of, well, Mars, I should say, and in Sparta and all that fun shit, so that they could unify behind a singular god, which was the intent of Judaism after Yahwism. Was, well, all these other nations, they city-states in the ancient Near East, they follow different gods. So if we merge them into, like, Elyon becomes Yahweh and all these other gods are just demons, fallen angels, however, or false gods, we should say, then we can unify these different city-states, all of canon, behind one god. Didn't really work out too well for them until the advent of Christianity, but that was the intent, I think.
Yeah. Besides the divide and conquer, what was the purpose of creating religions?
They weren't really created intentionally, I don't think. At least not at first. Which, what I just said kind of contradicts that. But that's, I think that was where that evolution of something that already existed became more for control. But the advent of religion was really just people peace of mind, or like explain death in a way that, like, oh, well, after we die, we get to see our loved ones again. Hell, anybody seen The Invention of Lying? Ricky Gervais, fucking love that movie. I feel like that's it. I feel like that's the answer to that question. Haven't seen that?
Yeah. I can't remember if I have or not.
Huh?
I said I can't remember if I've seen that or not.
Well, so Ricky Gervais's character is a man in a alternate universe where nobody can lie, so everyone tells the truth. So he does like a brief thing about his father being a thief. So his father goes to break into some dude's house, and the dude answers the door, and he's like, "You're supposed to be at work." He's like, "Okay, well, why are you robbing my house?" "Well, you weren't supposed to be here." "Well, I'm going to call the cops." "Well, you don't know who I am. What's your name?" Bob Dylan or what the fuck ever. It's like, shit. Do you want to stay and wait for the cops? Or you want them to pick you up, dragging, kicking, and screaming out of your own house? He's like, all right, I'll wait. You put a bit of tea on or whatever, and he goes in the house. And so it's like, that's how his dad was arrested and he was orphaned or whatever. It's really fucking funny. So then it goes to where he invents lying. His mother's on her deathbed, and he starts telling her about this magical place that she gets to go. She's like, I don't want to go into the nothingness. He's like, you're not going to go into nothingness. There's this magical place where there's no pain, and you'll get your own mansion, and you'll live forever with all your old family. They'll be there too. And as he's telling her this, like, the doctors and nurses are riveted. They're like, tell us more. And he essentially becomes like Jesus and Moses wrapped together. His tablets are Domino's pizza boxes. It's fucking hilarious. If you have not watched The Invention of Lying, go watch The Invention of Lying.
I'll have to do that. Ehrman or Carrier? That's a good one. That's a tough one. I take issue with Bart Ehrman because he speaks so definitively when he says that Jesus definitely existed because we have multiple accounts of his life, and but he's the way he definitively speaks on like this is the final word, and I don't think it's that simple. Like Richard Carrier makes a very good argument to the contrary, and Urban refuses to debate Carrier. I really wish he would. I think that'd be fucking fantastic debate. But I like both of them. I'm subscribed to Bart Ehrman's blog, which I pay a monthly fee for. I have one book from each of them right next to me. So they're both very good resources that I frequent fairly often. So I don't know if I could pick one.
I don't know who the other one is. Sorry, what was it? Carrier? I know
Richard
Bart
Carrier.
Ehrman.
He's the leading scholar on mythicism.
Someone earlier in the chat, do you think the best way to come to my own conclusion about the Bible and Christianity is to just read it yourself and see how it aligns with your views and who you are as a person? Absolutely. And the reason I say that is because I feel like the people who actually read the Bible are the ones who leave Christianity. You know, to be a devout Christian, you have to have the Bible read to you once a week and ignore it the other 6 days. There's a quote, and it keeps coming up, and I don't know who said it. I'd have to Google it, but it's Christians go to church Sunday to repent for what they did on Sabbath, what they will do on Monday. They don't give a shit about what's in the Bible. They don't know what's in the Bible. So when you read the Bible, you'll probably come to your own conclusions, but I'm going to warn you that your conclusions will probably be that the Bible is bullshit. There's a lot of murder and rape and genocide. It's terrible.
Where
we
the
had
documented
In the Bible.
what's up?
Sorry, I'm reading. In the Bible?
Oh,
I'm reading it.
I was
Documented
so you're reading
miracles
a
in the
question?
Bible. False. Like the miracles we have documentation of happening.
Rachel's written me a list of questions that are appearing in the
I am the secretary, as always.
He's a mediator.
I was just going
I'm
to...
the brain behind this operation. You guys just want to admit it.
I was going to give you a layup here. Layla Grace stuff? Sorry, that looked like Garcia for a second, but the G and the R flipped. I don't know how to pronounce that. Layla asks, is it true that the Bible is based off of pagan stories? You want to take that one? Mr.
So the creation narrative is taken from the Enuma Elish. In the Enuma Elish, there is 6 gods pretty much help create the world. Like one creates air, one creates water, blah, blah, blah. And then comes Marduk, who creates man and enslaves man so that the other gods could rest on the 7th day. So pretty hard to ignore the parallels there. There's also parts of it that are used for Noah's Ark, as well as the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is 1,000 years older. It's a tale of an angry god who is angry at his creation because they're too loud. So he instructs a demigod to create a boat with certain dimensions. He gave him certain dimensions, but two types of every animal on there, like same fucking story, almost 1,000 years in Noah's Ark.
Well, he's mortal at first, but then they grant him immortality for having done it. Utanapishtim.
That's right.
So he's granted immortality, and then Gilgamesh meets him, and that's when he recounts his story.
And then Moses is partially taken from the Amur Papyrus. All the 10 plagues are in it, and they're very similar, but they're also different. But the Amur Papyrus is more about an exodus or an invasion, not really an exodus. So it's like the plagues were used, but not so much the narrative around it. I'm not sure where that.
A lot of the laws in Exodus and Deuteronomy and even Leviticus are taken from the Code of Hammurabi.
Yeah.
And then where the section that contains the 10 commandments, the real 10 commandments, the ones that end with you shall not boil a goat in the mother, in the milk of its mother. That is, a lot of that's from the 42 verses of Mott or whatever it is. Not verses, like rules. There's a thing, that laws.
It was 52 laws of something.
Yeah, it's Mott. It's M-A apostrophe M-A. Which is not the same as Mot, the canon god of death. Mot is Egyptian. That's interesting, though, because Mot, one of the Canaanite gods, is in the Bible and is treated as an actual god, the god of death. So death is personified in the Bible. So is wisdom, Sophia, among others. The god Bethel, where Bethlehem comes from. So that's the thing, is like it itself is based on Canaanite polytheism. And it contains, especially the Old Testament, contains all these laws and rules and stories that are from much, much older mythologies and cultures. The New Testament, not quite as much. A lot of what Jesus did is based on other, so-called pagan mythologies and cultures. But
there's a lot of parallels to the I'm tongue-tied. Story of Troy.
Heracles?
Yeah, the Iliad and the Odyssey. A lot of those tales parallel in what's in those. Like the entirety of the New Testament is taken place in a landlocked area. Like you have the Red Sea and you have the Sea of Galilee, and that's like it. That's the only bodies of water you have. But there is just a ton of sea myths or ocean myths. In especially the Book of Acts, around Paul's like Paul is always like on a ship and shipwrecked and going on a journey in a ship and visiting a different place after he sailed across the sea on a ship. Like there's so much of it, and there shouldn't be because it's a landlocked area with very little water. So and there's more specific. I made a video on this a while back about the specifics. I can't remember what they are now.
That's a good point. I hadn't even thought of that. The area around where most of these stories will be taking place is landlocked, so it shouldn't. So even like Jesus quieted the seas, and there's the plagues of Egypt is Yahweh, sort of like insulting, slighting on the gods of Egypt. Exodus never happened. First of all, there's no historical basis to say that Egypt ever enslaved all of the nation of Israel, among other things. But every single one of the plagues was a slight on a specific Egyptian god. And then Jesus quieting the seas, that was essentially, for the Greeks, that was Jesus fighting Poseidon and winning. Which that's the Odyssey. Scylla and Charybdis versus Odysseus. And then like even Heracles like shouted at Poseidon to quiet the seas at one point, which Heracles, the son of Poseidon or Zeus? I know that like Hercules in the Disney movie is Zeus, but I feel like Heracles is Poseidon. I'm gonna have to Google that one because there is a distinction there. Because I feel like Heracles and Kronos are half brothers or cousins or something to that. Not Kronos. Kratos, sorry, who is an actual Greek god. So that's the thing. Hold on. Heracles' father's Poseidon. His father Poseidon? Fuck me. Sideways. Why is this doing this to me? No, he's the son of Zeus. Okay, my bad. So I think it's because he's the son of Zeus and Kratos is the son of Poseidon, not Zeus. Greek myth. That they're cousins.
Yeah. I got another good question over here.
I don't know. All right, sorry. I was off on a tangent about Greek mythology for some reason. How did we get there? Oh, talking about the pagan.
That's a topic that could be discussed for quite a while if we really got into it. 3 arguments against Pascal's wager. My favorite arguments against Pascal's wager is, if you don't know, Pascal's wager is basically believe in God just in case, because you have nothing to gain by not believing in him and everything to gain for believing in him. So believe in him just in case. The problem is you're following God out of the fear of hell and not out of the desire for relationship with him, which is what the church teaches that God wants, is a relationship. So if you're following God just in case, maybe he's real, he's going to know that, and we'll send you to hell for that anyway. So Pascal's wager would send you straight to hell. Also, it's a false dichotomy. It ignores all of the other options. It presupposes that the Christian God is the right one, or whatever religion is using Pascal's wager at the time. But it's ignoring all of the other possibilities of what could happen after you die. It's only giving you 2 options, and there are thousands. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way I take it. Is that implies 50-50 odds, and there aren't 4,000 different religions on the planet. What are the odds that that one happens to be the correct one simply because they conquered and killed and slaughtered their way to the top? No, thank you. No, thank you. That's the only, and I bring that up a lot. The only reason a lot of people are Christians is because their ancestors were slaughtered, like forced to convert to Christianity or be killed.
Yeah, like
and
the
you
slave.
brought that up before, where it's like, if you're on your deathbed, if somebody points a gun to my head and says, "Follow Jesus, or I'm going to kill you," yeah, I'll be like, "Yeah, praise His name. Get out of my house."
Yeah,
it's the same concept. That's why the Spanish Inquisition exists. It's like, you're Christians now. We're going to come back and make sure you're still Christians, or we're going to slaughter you.
Yep.
Very kind and loving God you got there.
What can you say to prove a Christian wrong or stop them in their tracks?
Depends on what they say. I love, I'll pray for you. I hit them back with like, may Danu bless you with understanding. Just give them a different God. May Zeus light your way home today. Oh, they get so fucking angry.
I usually say, I'll think for you. I'll pray for you. I'll think for you, because you're not doing that. You pray, I'll think. Other than that, I like pointing out, like we just talked about, where the Bible came from, and who wrote the Gospels, and who Paul was, and the fact that we have no records of Jesus ever existing. The earliest mention of him was in the 2nd century by Tacitus. That is the earliest pagan source, and no, Josephus it did not come first, or did not talk about the biblical Jesus. So before then, in such a well-documented period, all these things that Jesus supposedly did, rebelled against the government, preached apocalyptic literature, or apocalyptic teachings against Rome, which there are other Jesuses that did and were executed for it, like Jesus ben Sahar or Sadir, who was a carpenter and then was executed by stoning, and then his body was hung from a tree because he preached apocalyptic against Rome. So, tell them that and in the Gospels, the fact we have no idea who wrote the fucking Gospels. There are no eyewitness testimony of Jesus. So if I were to get into it, like going through the Bible and where it came from, that's my favorite. A lot of people give philosophical arguments. It's not really my wheelhouse. But oh, hi, welcome from the TikTok.
There's a real good book for sources on that. Richard Friedman's Who Wrote the Bible. If you want like any sort of like actual references to that kind of thing. That's the thing about Jesus, though. It's fucking impossible. So you can't prove that people didn't write about him. All we can do is say who did write about him. And the answer to that question is basically nobody. Where, if he was the king of Jews, if he was this important Masonic figure, they would have written about him. There are documents corroborating David, who was alive, 1,000 years, however long before Jesus. Yeah. So, we can prove that there was a King David of Israel, one of the first kings of Israel. We can't prove that Jesus existed. Do I think he existed? I think probably. As just like a teacher. I think if he did exist, I doubt sincerely that he ever performed miracles or claimed to be God or even the Messiah. I think people took, they did what always happens. Every God that exists was once human. They were just deified to be gods. Now, whether or not you believe that has any weight behind it is different. That's the same with Jesus. I don't think Jesus was a demigod. I don't think he ever claimed to be a demigod. I think he was deified after death.
For anyone who's curious, I get asked a lot for book recommendations. This is my go-to recommendation. You hear me, myself, and or in your microphone. But this is very short. It's like $5 on Amazon, and it's 20 arguments, 20 simple responses to the common arguments for the existence of God. So it's a great starting point if you're a baby atheist.
You still getting that echo?
Nope, not anymore.
Okay, cool. Sorry. I just like the cover of that. Who's that by?
Armin Navabi, who was an ex-Muslim, but he covers Christianity very well, very thoroughly as well. He kind of lumps them all together.
I got like 6 fucking tabs open.
And I recommend this book a lot, and I wonder if he's gotten like a spike in sales out of nowhere and has no idea where it came from. It's like, why am I selling so many books all of a sudden?
Add to cart.
It's like I've recommended your book 100 times to my 300,000 plus followers. You're welcome.
Oh, big right.
Thoughts on France essentially banning Islam? I've not read up on that. And as pro freedom of religion, I guess I am. I'd say Islam would be the exception to the rule. And I think any country that bans Islam.
I think I wouldn't consider Islam the exception to that rule personally. So we're gonna have a debate here. Oh no, I'm kidding. My thing is freedom of religion is also freedom from religion. Like practice whatever you want, believe whatever you want, but leave other people the fuck alone. So to that end, no, I disagree vehemently with France banning Islam. Outside of Middle Eastern countries, most Muslims are just
why there is no
trying to live their lives. So if that is happening, I would have to look more into it. I would say that's pretty fucking like tyrannical. Now, if people are trying to affect policy based on their religion, no, fuck those people in particular, but not the religion itself. Fuck. If I said there was any like exception to that rule, I would say Mormonism, because we know that it's fake, and Scientology, because that's some evil shit right there. Like,
I would add
L. Ron Hubbard and Joseph Smith are spiritual brothers.
Apparently, they put a ban on Muslim women under 18 wearing a hijab.
Correct.
In
like public,
not banning.
Yeah, that's
Islam,
not bad.
and so like that's
much.
But how do you ban someone from wearing
I think that's a little much, personally.
That's right. All right.
Somebody asked what my username meant. Can I take that one real quick?
Do it.
I just, it's on my glasses. That's if you ever see this red thing, it just says Crimson Barrel right there. I played with the idea of streaming games on Twitch, but I didn't want to have to edit them because that was taking me entirely too long to like clip it to make it interesting. So I stopped doing it. But the name is just a play on old retro games where you'd have red exploding barrels, which is why my logo is a red exploding barrel. Boom.
Wait, what had red exploding barrels?
My logo is a barrel with an explosion behind it.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you said it was in a certain game. I zoned out for a second.
It is. I mean, it's a lot of retro games had like exploding barrels. Sometimes they'd be green or yellow, but usually red.
Donkey Kong, of course.
Anything else? Hold on. Religion should be private. Any worship of a god shows how egotistical the god is. Yeah, that's a good one. And then justification for the Trinity. I've never seen any justification for the Trinity. That's because there is none. The Bible occasionally mentions the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, but the word Trinity is never used, and the Bible never says that they are the same entity or even like unified in purpose. And so like, there's a lot to get into there, but like the history of Trinitarianism, that's what the Council of Nicaea was about, right? Determining whether or not Jesus was God.
Like as the early church started and they had all these different sects, basically denominations, they all had different ideas about the Trinity or the relationship to God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. And some people said like, it's God and Jesus are divine, but they're not the same person, and the Holy Spirit is part of God. And another church or a sect would say, but the Holy Spirit and Jesus are divine. When Jesus died, his spirit is the Holy Spirit, and God is separate entirely. And someone else will be like, Jesus was subservient to God. He's almost a demigod who became. So they have all these like ideas that they debated about for centuries, and eventually it all came together into a Trinity, and it's still debated in the denominations today. But yeah, the Council of Nicaea and Constantine as well had a big reason, or a lot to do with that. And then of course, can't not mention King James when he translated his Bible, artificially put in the concept of the Trinity, the verse about the Trinity, which was not in any of our manuscripts. Like a few Latin manuscripts that it's in, but they were much more recent manuscripts. There were none closer to the original times. Like at some point, someone added that to the manuscript, and King James liked that idea. So here we are.
What cracks me up about King James? So many Christians have his name on their book. So many of them swear by it. There are King James purists who are like, "This is the most accurate translation." What basis do you have for that? I just think that that's true. Okay, cool. But I wonder if they would still feel that way, because none of them know that King James was a flaming homosexual.
Yeah.
He had a lifetime, man love, George Villiers. He made him Duke of Buckingham, I think. Had so many parades in his honor, gave him like every honor that he could give him. Essentially wanted him to be like heir to the throne even. So like if something happens to me, I want George in charge. And they wouldn't let him do that. And there was a point where the church told him that he had to put away his there's a word that I'm trying to think of, but like his man lover. And he said, Jesus had John the Apostle, I have George. Essentially like confirming a certain belief even held in the 1600s that Jesus was bisexual or gay. Which I love that fucking quote. I love that story, because you'll tell them that and they'll be like, there's no way that's true. Fucking Google it. Google it. I dare you. Oh, Google doesn't have all the answers. Okay.
Are Christians misinterpreting Revelation? Yeah. Revelation is not apocalyptic. It's historic fan fiction, basically.
It's a hopeful foretelling of the fall of the Roman Empire, and it already happened. That ties into, we were talking earlier about 666.
Yeah, we're talking about it. Actually, Nero's name. And think about all the lake of fire and all these burning imagery in Revelation, referring to Nero burning down Rome and blaming the Christians for it. So there's lots. It's all like code, basically.
That's what we talked about. He even says that it's a code in the verse about the marks. And the reason you have to have it on the money, you have to have it on your forehead, all this, is because Nero's face was on all the fucking money. That's all that meant. And it's hilarious that they take, it's microchips. Oh, they're putting microchips in people. And it's like, fuck you. Because we had that question earlier, and I meant to get to it, sorry, where somebody was asking about all the prophecies about the Antichrist and the end of times that are occurring just now. They're not occurring just now. They happened every 5 years for the last 2,000. People are constantly saying that Jesus is coming back. It's nothing new. You had that, you keep bringing up the 88 reasons why. I'm going to add that to cart now, too. We'll go download.
Yeah, 88 reasons why Jesus is coming back in 88. This guy had it down, like very convincing. He tied in everything that was apocalyptic in the Bible too. Everything was happening like politically and societally at the time, and he fucking had that shit down. And of course, a lot of people believed it. That they took out loans, very large loans because they didn't think they'd have to pay him back because Jesus is coming back this year. So I get all this free money, don't have to pay him back. That's the level that people believe these things. So then it didn't happen. And I heard he wrote another book like 89 reasons why Jesus coming back in 89 or something. I wasn't able to confirm that. But yeah, I heard he tried again.
I want this one. This is pretty. That's so fancy. We're on borrowed time. Yeah, okay, I'm buying this. Sorry, I'm doing my shopping while we're talking.
Real quick, because I'm getting asked this a bunch of times, as predicted. What do I believe happens after we die? I believe we cease to exist, just like we did before we were born. So yeah.
Yep. Do you remember what happened before you were born? It's that, most likely. That's as valid an idea, a belief, if you will. It's not really a belief. It's anyway.
Or
I would
like
say it's more valid than concepts of the Christian afterlife. Sorry, what?
So, or like when a doctor knocks you out with anesthesia for surgery, Like, do you remember anything before, or after the anesthesia, or before you woke up? Do you remember any of that? No, it's gone. So I think that's anyway. Yeah.
And despite being an atheist, like, I'm a skeptic at the very least, so I don't fucking know. I have thoughts and opinions about it that, don't necessarily have anything to do with any religion in particular. I think that, like, I would say that I equally believe in what's the word? Annihilationism, if you will. Like, we die, this is it. Annihilationism, as I do reincarnation or some aspect of any other version of an afterlife. I don't have any solid, credible proof that there is one, but I don't disbelieve in it either necessarily.
I just say this because there's no evidence for anything else.
All we have is what people have written about, and they all say it's something different. So who the fuck knows? The most logical answer is that nothing happens. But I have illogical answers too, and I understand that they're illogical. I mention all the time that I don't like other druids. One of the reasons why I don't like other druids is they tend to venerate the Celtic gods. The druids themselves did not venerate. As a matter of fact, it was the druids who are responsible for the Celtic gods leaving Earth. They kicked them off of Ireland in the Celtic mythology. So figure that one out. So that's why I say that. Somebody asked, sorry, I was trying to like tie that into this. They asked if I went to Bible college. No, I didn't. I don't have any credentials. I just read a lot of books. I'm a nerd. Yeah. I'm a nerd for a lot of different subjects. This just happens to be one of them.
What is your response to the claim that Jesus' disciples were martyred for their beliefs? The thing is, we only have documented evidence that 3 of them were executed. John, Peter, and Paul, I think. Other than that, I think I might have this wrong. I have to relook it up. There's only 3. I know that. All the other ones were, it's just tradition. Like there's no evidence. It's just kind of tradition that was passed down. So it's not super likely that they were all martyred. We just don't have any evidence that they were. Favorite alcoholic drink I want to answer because you're actually drinking it for the first time, Mason. It's called Black Seal. It is a dark spiced rum. It's my absolute favorite, and I recommended it to Crimson, and he got it tonight. Have you tried it yet?
You told me to put it in the freezer. I'm going to go pour it into this cup, which is empty now. So, I don't know. Right. But I've got ice in it, so it should be cold.
I don't put ice.
Hell is supposed to be Gehenna. So if you want to get into the 4 hells, we can do that.
Yeah, the 4 hells in the Old Testament, it's Gehenna, it's Sheol, which in Jewish tradition is sort of believed as an annihilationist perspective. It translates to the grave. It's described as like darkness. You just cease to exist. In the New Testament, it talks about Gehenna, which is a literal place where garbage was buried outside the city of Jerusalem, and in dead bodies as well. It was just a big pile of trash that kept burning and never stopped. So that's the analogy was used for that. There's also Tartarus, which is where the Titans were held in prison in Hades. So yeah, a lot of the reason that the Bible is the way it is today is because Constantine knew Greek mythology, but he didn't know the Greek language. He learned Greek mythology from Plato, so he incorporated his beliefs in the afterlife into Christianity, and that's what became the law of the land.
I wanted to caveat. I fucking hate that word. Bounce off of that because Gehenna, so like where anytime they take the fiery pits of Gehenna, the lake of fire, all that shit regarding Gehenna. People want to think that that's eternal torment, and it never says that in the Bible. Gehenna is just where your soul goes to die, supposedly. So that's the annihilationism. It's eternal separation from God. You are destroyed. It's the second death. But between Gehenna, like between when you go to die for the second time and when you physically die, is Sheol, is the grave. And somebody brought it up to me, and I wanted to double check this just now. I think it's the Young's literal translation. They now use grave for Sheol instead of hell. There are versions of the Bible now that are, to an extent, getting it right. It's like, take it a couple more steps. Like, realize certain other differences and problems with the
Young's literal is the most accurate, but it's very difficult to read and understand because it doesn't parse. It doesn't take any liberties with parsing the verbs. In Greek, I learned how to read, write, and translate ancient Greek. Forgotten it all now because it's a very perishable skill. But in Greek, the verbs are parsed differently than they are in English. And when the Young's literal translation was made, they didn't really take any liberties with changing those parsings. So it reads, sometimes it kind of reads like the way Yoda speaks sometimes. So it's hard to understand. But yeah, that is the most literal. Aside from that is the New American Standard Version. That's very accurate as well, and very readable.
Yeah, that's the version that I have, is the NASB. And I wanted to do this one real quick because I think it might mention Mott, which would be hilarious. But Sheol and Mott, and it's like, let's see the distinction between that and the KJV. Because I feel like the KJV would probably still say, oh no, it does use grave. Well, what about the original Hebrew? Because this, a lot of places in the Bible use Mot for death because Mot was the Canaanite god of death, and the Hebrew word for death is based on him. And there's a part in Revelations even where they say that Hades and I want to say it's Hades and death go into the lake of fire after all the humans who aren't worthy for Judgment Day go into the lake of fire. So, but that's the distinction. It's like everybody, wicked and righteous, goes to Sheol, and then on Judgment Day, apparently, the wicked go to Gehenna to be burned the second death, and then the righteous, which there's only 144,000 of those motherfuckers, get sealed in heaven with God. So it's like your odds are none. Nobody alive today would be worthy. I think if the number is 144000, they capped that at like 5 BC.
I heard that was it Jehovah's Witnesses, real quick, I drink my rum straight, no ice or anything. Don't ever mix anything into it.
I'm like that with Black Label.
I believe they take it literally, the 144,000. And basically all it is if you think you're one of them, you go to your pastor, priest, or whatever, and tell them that you are. And I heard they've tried to find ways to translate that number different so that it's more, because more than 144,000 people have come forward and said, hey, I'm one of God's elect. So yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I think the same thing happened in Calvinism, but a little bit different, because they believe
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
The predestination type thing.
But yeah, that's the one I pulled up was Psalms 49:14. Like sheep, they sink down to Sheol. Death will be their shepherd. Mot. So it's
okay.
There's so many indications in the Bible. Like if you have that knowledge and you read the Bible with that thought in mind, that it is a polytheistic book, or that it even just could be a polytheistic book, and you see Mot and Hallel ben Sahar and Elyon versus Yahweh and Asherah and all these other characters in the Bible that are personified and treated as gods. Never says they're fallen angels, never says they're demons, nothing of the sort. Then that's the only logical conclusion you can come to, and it makes a lot of things make more sense. So I brought up Deuteronomy 32 in a video earlier today because we both got tagged in that.
Yeah, which I did that
video.
Like a few days ago, I mentioned that same verse.
Oh yeah, just like the Elyon separated the 70 nations, and Yahweh got Israel.
Yeah, and that I also use the scripture in Psalms where God said, "You stand among the gods, but you will die like men." Yeah,
that's another good one. That's Psalms 82. I had somebody in there try to be a bunch of people. It's title and name. It's title and name. And then someone was like, Mr. President was very happy with the laws he passed. Mr. Biden felt good. It's like nobody would fucking talk like that, Hebrew or English. That distinction exists for a reason. Fucking, I don't know. I hate it. Sorry, I haven't been looking at this. My bad.
It is interesting though, like having the knowledge of the Bible, and then like you were the first person that I didn't actually learn all that from college. No, actually, it was mentioned briefly. I just didn't really explore it. Then hear you saying that it's the Canaanite pantheon, and then I got like obsessed with that, and like for days that's all I read about, because I knew we'd always been told that Elohim was referring to the Trinity because it's the plural, but it's talking about the Trinity, and then of course all these other false gods were just false altars, and God wanted them to worship Him, the real God, and not all these fake gods. But then I hear them like, no, that makes sense. Like that makes the Old Testament make so much more sense.
That's such a Christian excuse too. I love that excuse. Oh, it's the Trinity. Oh, it's the Trinity.
Yeah.
First off,
Isn't it?
Oh, the fuck like, it isn't. Like, tell any Jewish person that the fucking Hebrew word Elohim refers to the Trinity. Now they've got a completely different excuse that I still think is hilarious, but they will kick the shit out of you. Fucking the concept of Jesus exists in the Old Testament, but as the prophesied Messiah. And the prophesied Messiah was never supposed to be the literal Son of God.
No.
You could think of that as like, this is a funny comparison, Anakin Skywalker in in The Phantom Menace. He has no father. He just doesn't have a father. That doesn't mean that God is his father. The midi-chlorians are his father. He is, he just is. He doesn't have a father.
Yeah.
Same with Jesus. Dude doesn't have a father, which I find hilarious because the genealogies that exist in the Bible tie him to Joseph, even though Joseph isn't his father. But that exists to like confirm him as the Messiah, that he's from the line of David, because they don't give a shit about Mary in that book. They don't care. So like I would say they don't give a shit about women in general. Jewish genealogies don't typically refer to the women. Unless they're the last one in the line, like Mary, and this is my father and my father's father. Father. And that, they want to make that excuse that one refers to Mary's line and one refers to Joseph's line. Like they both say Joseph, and Mary's father's name is given in the book of Mary, and it's Joachim, and that is not either of the names of Joseph's father that are given in the contradicting genealogies.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Like it's right there in front of them this whole time, and they don't even.
Mommy Foulmouth says, in another 2,000 years, people will be worshiping Yoda. Fucking probably, as well they should.
Right?
Baby Yoda, though. Oh, he's got a name now, doesn't he? Doesn't it begin with a G and people were pissed because every other Yoda had a Y?
I haven't gotten to watch The Mandalorian. I really want to, but...
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I don't have... Just like it's hard to read, it's hard to fucking watch TV in my life.
I'm trying to. I saw a thing recently that was like, oh, fuck! It's an old Rooster Teeth video, and it was kind of poking fun at Egyptians, and it's like, 2,000 years from now, if people saw, like, if they had an archive of the internet and they just went through this time period, they might think that we worship cats, where we just think they're fucking funny. So it's like, did the Egyptians worship cats, or did they just think that cats were hilarious? Because you got to think, 3,000 years ago, like, first off, cats essentially domesticated themselves, which I think is hilarious. That's why I love cats. But they must not have changed very much. They still be chasing after like bugs and falling over themselves and landing on their feet and being adorable and ridiculous. Did they worship cats?
They didn't have much entertainment back then, so of course cats are going to be entertaining. Probably more to them than they are to us now.
Zombie Chop asks me to rewrite the Bible, but correctly. I have started to do that. I have a book in the works called Yahweh the Conqueror. But here's the thing: is it's on the back burner to a different book that I'm writing. That's a steampunk apocalyptic book about Angus Och, God of Youth. So I need people to kick me in the ass and make me write, because I only have for both of them, I think I only have 5,000 to 10,000 words right now. But I have so much research and secondary materials to it. So I am doing that, Zombie Chop. I'm doing it, but it's not going to come out for a long time.
Favorite Disney movie?
Oh, Her.
I'm gonna have to go with Wall-E.
Really? Well, that's Pixar.
Oh shit, you're right. Robin Hood.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like the old Fox one? Of course it's Robin Hood.
Yeah, because it's Fox.
Not Fox and the Hound? Robin Hood?
I like Fox and the Hound better, but Robin Hood is more entertaining to watch. It's just more fun.
You know what? Best soundtrack might actually be Tarzan, though.
Oh well, Elton
Phil
John.
Collins? Is that Phil Collins?
Where's Phil Collins?
Who did the Tarzan soundtrack? He went fucking hard. It was my point.
I think it was.
Wait,
Phil
what did I
Collins.
say? I said Tarzan, right?
Yeah.
Like the Someone Like Me, right? Or People Like Me. What's that one? That fucking song goes hard. So Disney owns Pixar, but like I just feel like there's a distinction to be made between Disney Animation Studios and Pixar Studios as far as like what's your favorite movie? Because fucking Pirates of the Caribbean is technically a Disney movie. I'm like when people say Disney movies, they're referring to a specific group of movies, and that's like that flat 2D style, I think. Like the older movies, especially classics, especially.
Best soundtrack is Mulan. That's a good one. That's my favorite Disney princess.
Mulan.
Yeah.
I like Merida. I think I like Merida best.
Okay, I can see that.
It's probably the Scottish. It's Gaelic, Celtic, close enough.
She was badass. I can see that.
We're already starting to kind of get into our nerd shit. Somebody asked a question earlier, and I don't. Eliza asked about Isaiah 45:7. That's I create peace and create evil. Yahweh's a prick. He is taking credit for creating evil, and that parallel, that like idea of like I honestly feel like that has a lot to do with like the Pandora's box myth. As far as like all the evil and the sin in the world, that's kind of Eve taking the apple. But then there's also hope, and the hope is in the form of Jesus Christ. That motif, I'm not saying that one came before the other necessarily even, but that motif exists in a lot of mythology. That like a woman is responsible for all evil and a man is going to save you. Just fuck off. But
and don't
no,
let
that's
anybody
just,
tell you that word is not evil. That is the literal translation of that word in Hebrew is evil. It's not.
They tell you it means calamity or catastrophe.
Well, calamity too. Yeah, it translates calamity too. But like,
how is that better?
Evil. Yeah, it's not.
It's used to mean evil in that form over 140 times in the Bible. Like wickedness, spiritual evil, not like physical calamity evil. So that is a lazy and boring excuse. If God is the creator of all, he created evil. He created sin. And it's like, no, Satan did that. Who created Satan?
Yeah. Or they say God created the world with the possibility of evil. Like, you're just making excuses. I got a question here I want to answer. Sexism in Timothy.
Our good friend Thinking Christian has a lot of thoughts about that.
Yeah. Because he usually agrees with me on things.
Same.
Timothy was not written by. Yeah, it is. We're gonna have him on the show one day. Timothy was not written by Paul. It was somebody pretending to be Paul, and they did a really bad job of it. There's a lot of ways we know this, and one of the reason is because of the sexism in it. Because Paul was not. It was not actually all that sexist. He had women apostles, and apostles, their job was literally to travel from church to church and teach. That was their job, and he mentioned like 7 of them, and one by name that he said was like the best of the best. And Aliyah, I can't remember the name now. Fuck. But yeah. When the Bible was put together, they left that in there. Probably knowing Paul didn't write it, they didn't care. Why? The answer is pretty obvious.
Well, that's the thing. There's it's 13 Pauline epistles, right? And only 7 of them are like confirmed. Which they left in the Gospels, and those weren't written by who they say they were written by. They took out the book of Thomas because it depicted Jesus's life between ages 13 and 30, and he was an evil dick. Like he killed a kid. So it was like, it showed that he was human, that he needed to learn to be the Messiah, the person that he was supposed to be or whatever. And then they cut the Book of Mary simply because it was written by a woman. In fact, they buried that in a fucking cave like 300 feet below the surface to like never to see the light of day. So that one was fun. But for no other reason really than that it was written by a woman. Hell, they called Mary Magdalene a whore, a prostitute, and she was not a prostitute. There were prostitutes that Jesus hung out with because he was a cool dude like that. But Mary Magdalene was like a shipping heiress. Like her father was in charge of like trading. He was a merchant and was like a successful one, made a lot of money. But they called her a whore because we can't have important women in the Bible. Like not that important, mind. Hell, the same can be said of Islam and the Quran. One woman in the entire Quran gets a name, and it's Miriam. That's it. No other woman gets no other woman gets a name. And the same is true often of the Bible. Lot's wife doesn't get a name. There's a lot of women that don't get names. But so it's like the books overall are misogynistic, but that specifically in Timothy, like women can't talk in church, women can't like speak over or hold authority over a man. Yeah, that was how one dude ran his church, and he was a prick.
Yeah, and that verse was put in there for a reason, or left in there and made canon for a reason.
Miriam is how you say Mary in like, you know, Arabic, Old Hebrew. We call her Mary because we're English and we're basic, but her name is Miriam. Same with Jesus and Yeshua, Joseph and Yosef, everything like that. There's a lot of them. Christianity would not exist, would have died out without women. You're goddamn right. But that doesn't mean that they like women. Hell, you know, Salem witch trials, fucking how have they treated witches historically? Or like any woman who like is in any way heretical to the church. There's a barbarian, a Roman barbarian woman who was a philosopher, and I'm trying to remember her name off the top of my head, but she was like drawn and quartered by the church and like had her fucking entrails pulled out for daring to like have certain thoughts and beliefs about how math and physics affected the universe. What was her name? I feel like it's like Jesus. You want to find another question for us while I'm trying to pull this lady up? What the fuck is her name?
Well, someone asked, do you know if Eusebius and Caesar had any responsibility in changing, hiding, or making up scripture? And they did. Rusty on the details. I think it was Eusebius that primarily formed the New Testament. It was like changed and then altered back, like after, like it was still like centuries of debate afterwards, but ultimately it returned back to what he taught. I'm just trying to find
real quick. I was thinking of Hypatia, how you pronounce her name. So yeah, ancient Alexandria is greatest scholar, and more so than any other like male philosopher or pagan, she was butchered by the Christians. It was terrible. Vittershin says that they're still watching, but withdrawing from chat in order to use their thumbs for games. That's a mood, you know. I'm down for it. What you playing before you leave?
I think it's Eusebius. No? Yeah, I had it right. Eusebius. Anyway. I just replayed Portal 2 the other day.
Witchery asks why God gives the animal species a gay free pass, but for humans it's restricted. You know, that's a great reason to give for when people say it's unnatural. If it was unnatural, it wouldn't occur in nature, and it occurs in every animal species on Earth. The only species that has homophobia is humanity. So homophobia is what is unnatural. By the literal definition of natural, which who gives a shit what's natural? You think cities are natural? Cars? Cell phones, the internet, that shit's not natural.
So we're getting a lot of questions about Melchizedek. Have you noticed? like both in my live stream on TikTok and in the comments, we get a lot of questions about Melchizedek. Which is hilarious because we were talking about earlier about it's Hyperhumanity made that post, and we've both been tagged in a whole bunch. I've been tagged in it 26 times in that video, and I just say, yeah, he's right about everything he says.
No, I can't write on here.
Those of you who are asking that question have most certainly seen that video. Yeah, he's saying everything. Everything he's saying is true, and he's actually going to be our next guest this Sunday, and that's going to be interesting. He's a Gnosticism seems to be more his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I love him so much, though. Like I keep feeling bad because I like get giddy talking about it, but I just like his vernacular and the way that he talks.
He's intense.
Yeah, which is good.
There's an intensity to him. Yeah.
So we can get into Melchizedek. So that kind of cracks me up because he did a part 2. I don't know if you saut that video, where he talks about the difference between Melchizedek priesthood and Aaronic priesthood, even in the Bible, which validates to an extent how the Mormons do it. So there's it kind of cracks me up because the more I learn about this, I didn't know necessarily a whole lot about Mormonism while my family was Mormon, which I really don't think they are anymore, even though they still pretend. But I lost my train of thought. Sorry. No, so in Mormonism, when you start as a priest, as a deacon and then a priest, you are given the Aaronic priesthood, which just allows you to, bless food and water and do baptisms for the dead and all that goofy supernatural zombie necromancy powers. And then later you get the Melchizedek priesthood, which allows you to grant other people the priesthood. That's it. That's all it does. But so it kind of cracks me up that they've gone that far, that they acknowledge that in Mormonism, but then they don't see the difference. Or they do, actually. They do, because Puka was talking about it a little bit, that they see the difference between Elyon and Yahweh, and they just think that Yahweh is this planet's Jesus and Elyon's the creator.
Oh.
Which, it's fucking crazy to me that, like, even though they're provably wrong, that Mormonism follows so closely to Gnosticism. That shit cracks me the fuck up.
No scientific evidence of God doesn't prove God doesn't exist. Well, no one's saying God definitely for sure does not exist 100%. Or saying
I think God exists. I just think he's an evil prick.
Yeah, I'm saying there's no evidence that he does. And no, creation isn't fucking evidence. But we don't need to get into the watchmaker argument right now. I'm a little tired of that one.
Here's the thing. Whether or not he exists is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Insofar as...
Ultimately, yeah.
That was rude.
Rude?
He, whether or not he physically exists, whether or not he is real, is irrelevant to the fact that he exists in the hearts and minds of his followers. And if you look at the Bible and you look at what his followers do, it's evil. It is objectively evil to me how they use their religion and their God to manipulate and control others, and through fear try to convert people and forcibly convert people even. He's not worth worship. So whether or not he's real is irrelevant. More so, like when you study the Bible and you look into the polytheistic origins, you know that if he is real, he's not the creator. Nor does the Bible say that he's the creator. So he is only the God of Israel. Only 104,000 people from 12,000 from each of the tribes of Judah go to heaven. He's not worth worship. He's not even your God. Like, I want to say, because you can back me up on this one, Jesus never opened Judaism up to the Gentiles. Paul did that, right?
That's exactly right. That was never mentioned in the Gospels at all. And he would have never said that. That was entirely Pauline.
Yahweh is only the God of Israel. He's not supposed to be worshipped by some fucking rat fuck in, bumfuck goddamn Montana. He doesn't care about you. You're not one of his people. But yeah, dude's a prick. Do I ever not eat? No, I'm always eating. I'm sorry.
Was Yahweh the Elohim in Genesis? Yahweh was one of the members of Elohim in Genesis. The Elohim refers to the children of El, and Yahweh was one of them. The problem is, or the thing is, Yahweh was pretty much the favored one, and he and El sort of merged, kind of. It kind of became one, right?
Religious syncretism.
And then they like destroyed all the other guys.
I want to say in one of the later books in Genesis, Yahweh tells Abraham that he is El Shaddai. Here's the thing. He's lying. He's not above lying. If he is the Elohim in Genesis 2, he lies to Adam and Eve about what the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil does. He lies. And who people believe is Satan, though is never called Satan, the serpent, which is a representation of Asherah, what they say is the truth, that he doesn't want you to eat it because then you'll be like gods. And then what does Elohim say? Look, behold, man has become as one of us, knowing good and evil, and then punishes them for eating a fucking pomegranate. And then apparently now all of us are covered in sin because a woman once ate a fucking pomegranate.
I like to think that as soon as they gained the knowledge, they hid from him. They immediately became afraid of him.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah.
But
and then we found them.
Well, fuck, he's an asshole. That's one of the main reasons why I say God's an evil prick. From fucking page 2, he's an evil prick. But he's a liar. He says that his name is jealous. He calls himself full of envy and wrath, and he condones genocide, murder, rape, slavery. He's a fucking evil prick. But as far as the word Elohim itself, if it starts with Ha, it's Ha Elohim. If it's the Elohim, that is usually referring to Yahweh. But we know that Elohim refers to beings who are not Yahweh. Angels, the Canaanite gods, the Egyptian gods. Jacob wrestles an Elohim. It doesn't specify that it's Ha Elohim. It doesn't specify that it's Yahweh. So either you have to believe that Jacob is an angel, which is usually given to be Samael, Satan, the accuser, the opposer, or he fought Yahweh and won. I like that version better. I like to think that a senior citizen beat the shit out of Yahweh.
And then God touched his cat or his
hip.
His hip, yeah.
Dislocated his hip. But
dislocated by
God dislocates his hip and he's like, let go of me. And nope, you got to bless me first. Say uncle, bitch.
Real quick, Sunday with Hyper, we're going to be talking about Gnosticism.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about it this time, but we're going to go over it again, and he's going to have some feedback, I'm sure. I want to learn more about it myself personally, so I'm looking forward to it.
That's something I'm not super familiar with. Like I know like the basics, but I've never like gone into a deep dive into it like I should.
My problem, because one of the things that I know is that they suppose that there is a good God that exists outside of time and space, and that would theoretically be El. And then there's a God that created the physical universe, and the good God is unaware of the physical universe. And then this is Yahweh, and I'm like, I have problems with that. But like from a theological standpoint, like you can look at Greek mythology and see that is sort of kind of the case insofar as in the beginning in Greek mythology there is chaos, and from chaos came darkness, light, and night. So Nox, Eros, I think I don't remember the names of them necessarily, but and then from them came the Titans, and then from them came the gods. So that Gnosticism and even El versus Yahweh and his children, that all kind of is from the same like thought process, the same religious origins, really, which is very interesting to think about at the very least.
So real quick, I've consistently had about 80, 90 people in my live. I just went over 100. So everyone in the live, thanks for attending.
I have 20. Shit, that's more than I've ever had.
Probably have about 30 minutes left. but check out the link in my link tree to my YouTube channel. That's what we're doing here. Yes, I do have a podcast. It's on Podbean. We're going to start looking into how to get it on Spotify soon. But the videos are on my YouTube channel. And that's what we're doing now. We do a show every Sunday where we have a special guest on. 111. And then this is the first episode of a live Q&A that we did. And we're going to keep doing this, I think. So yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. Sorry, I don't mean to be ignoring you guys. But thank you for sticking around anyway. Well, thanks for the
I
gift.
got somebody in my live saying that the fruit from the garden is supposed to be a quince. That comes up a lot. The golden apples of Idun and in Greek mythology, those are more than likely quinces. It is commonly held that the fruit from the Garden of Eden was supposed to be a pomegranate. It comes up a lot in, like, when it's not an apple, it's usually portrayed as a pomegranate, and it makes more sense because we know where the Garden of Eden is supposedly. It's in Iraq between, like, the Tigris and the, like, there's a fork in the Tigris River where it meets another river, and that's supposedly where the Garden of Eden was.
Tigris and the Euphrates.
Yeah, and then
Which is
like
funny
the
because
concept of
but
what was that?
yeah, which is funny because our species began in South Africa.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like the great. So that's the thing. So even if, like, our species began in Africa, right? Adam and Eve weren't the first humans, not even in the Bible. So the Garden of Eden's position is irrelevant to, like, the creation of humanity, because when Cain leaves, he goes east into the land of Nod, and east of that area in Iraq, like alongside the region, there is Bedouin territory, nomads. And the land of Nod is the land of wandering. People want to point out, oh, it just means the land of wandering. Yeah, because it referred to nomadic territories. He leaves the Garden of Eden, the land of the Garden of Eden, I should say, goes east to the lands where Bedouins lived, took a wife and founded a city. The Bible never says that his wife is his sister. And the Bible forbids incestuous relationships. So
Weird. Figure that one out.
the first humans in the Bible are Ish and Ishtar in Genesis 1. Genesis 1 contradicts Genesis 2. This is why.
So me specifically, pacifically, how would you respond to someone who says that if you don't believe it's because we reject God because we want to be God? When people,
stupid.
When people say, which I think is what they're trying to say is, you know, we just want to sin without feeling guilty about it. We want to be hedonistic, basically. What I say to people about that is no. When I started losing my faith, I tried very hard to hold on to it. Like, I started praying more. I started listening to worship music more. Like, I started doing things at church more to try and hold on to this because I knew it was slipping away. And ultimately, I just couldn't. So, I made a video earlier where I said I chose to be a Christian, but I didn't choose to be an atheist. Like, I tried very hard to continue my belief in God, but my brain just didn't, wouldn't allow me to. So that's my typical response to that. It's not because I didn't want to be God. No, I didn't want to believe in God. I absolutely did want to keep believing in God. Like, I didn't want to throw away the last 15 years and my degree. Yeah. So
that's a mood. I get this one a lot. You'll probably like this. I get anytime I do a video about, like, Yahweh doing some evil shit, invariably, especially like murder, I get somebody's like, well, he gave life, he can take it away.
Oh,
I get
yeah.
that one, and I get, well, like, oh, the person trying to condone, like, him slaughtering babies is like, they get to go to heaven. It's just speeding up the process. What did he say? He specifically said, like, it's better that they die before they have the chance to commit more sin. So, like, he was like, they were sinners, they weren't innocent. It's like, the babies? What did the babies do? Well, they're born with sin. It's like, okay, you think that it's better that the literal babies died before they could grow up and sin more? You're definitely going to hell, bro. Like, how dare you condone that?
And St. Augustine believed that babies went to hell, like, if they weren't baptized. Like,
they weren't
that's
christened,
how
they weren't baptized.
Right? Babies automatically go to hell if they aren't baptized. Like, that is
well,
where
that's
that
the thing is, like, by Christian dogma, if anybody who died before Jesus went to hell, right? You can only achieve salvation through Jesus.
Or Abraham's bosom, which who the fuck knows what that means.
Abraham being the progenitor of Israel probably means that only Israelites get to go to heaven, I would think. Like, that's my only thought for that. Gay people are gay because they reject their masculinity or femininity. There are plenty of butch straight women, and there are plenty of effeminate straight men. That's a stupid, like, gender roles are bullshit, first of all.
There are plenty of
gay people are born gay. And as a matter of fact, Jesus says that gay people are born gay. Anytime I bring up the fact that Jesus never mentioned homosexuality, I get one particular verse quoted at me, and it's in Matthew, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. I'm sorry. But a Pharisee man asks Jesus, divorce is okay, and he says no. You know, God put man and woman together. What God has put together, let not man tear asunder. They take that to mean straight couplings, but that's not what it means. It just means, you know, marriage is between a man and woman and God. What God has put together, let not men tear asunder. So biblical marriage, though. Christians don't own marriage. So fuck off. More importantly, like, immediately after that, the Pharisee says, if this is true, it's better to not be married at all. And Jesus says, yes, some men can't accept this truth. Those who are born that way from their mother's womb. The word used is eunuch, but eunuch didn't mean then what we take it to mean now. It doesn't refer to castrated men. It refers to men who abstain from sex with women. So temple guard, it didn't originally mean castrata. It just meant celibate with women specifically. So that cracks me the fuck up. He literally says men who were born that way from their mother's womb, and then people don't want to pretend that gay people aren't born that way.
Are you familiar with the vocal tone castrato?
Yeah, where especially for like churches, older, they would cut the testicles off of young boys so that their voice would never deepen. Yeah, that's real fucked up.
Yeah, so they did that, and when they did that, the platelets in their joints never hardened, so they would grow up to be very lanky, and their rib cage would be much bigger than normal. So they had much larger lung capacity than everybody else. So if you had a good voice along with all of that, like, you were a fucking rock star. But yeah, I think there's one recording of it from like the 30s or something, and it was outlawed at that time. But yeah, that was
fucked up though, because the Bible specifically says that people whose genitals are mutilated don't get to go to heaven.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Your face is messed up. It's like poor Owen Wilson's not going to make it to heaven because his nose is fucked up. So
how do they justify that? So that's, I mean, I guess they, that ceremonial law, which that distinction doesn't exist in the fucking Bible either. That pisses me off.
Like, if God makes people disabled, then that means God made people specifically to go to hell. Yeah. I'm going to make you disabled and make a law where you can't go to heaven if you're disabled. So, fuck is going on there?
That pisses me off. Is there any response when a Christian says you have the devil inside of you? Moan. Just give him a, oh yeah. That's dumb. I get called the Antichrist. I know you do too. Son of Satan.
Just be like, yeah, I wish he would choke me a little bit too. Like, being inside is great, but there's more you can do. You've got 2 hands. Fucking use them. Goddamn.
What do you think? There has to be a person who would say that we reject God because we want to be God. Do you think they might be insane? Yeah, I don't. What the fuck do they mean by that? Like, I don't want to be God. I'm just living my life. I'm not trying to control people or genocide anybody. I'm clearly not trying to be God.
I am.
You are? Like the God of your own world, I guess. Captain of your own ship.
Tell me that God is using me to fulfill prophecy. Because I like to lead everybody astray, because a certain amount of people need to be led astray in order for the apocalypse to happen, in order for Jesus to come back. And I'm apparently helping God do that. probably my favorite.
Okay.
It's like, oh wow, thank you so much. That is the greatest compliment I've ever been given. God is using me to bring on the apocalypse. Yes, thank you. God, I'm blushing. Oh my God.
That'd be great. Are you kidding me? If you died
Yeah, right.
or if you started it, props, major props in the afterlife. Come on now. Josiah asks a question, and I'm going to pose it in a way that you have to give a legitimate answer. If every religion were simultaneously proven to be true, if every god of like major religions revealed themselves to humanity at once and like, hey, all this shit is true and we are real, but the creation myths got kind of fucked up. But we do exist. They were like,
which one would I?
And they demanded worship or they would slaughter you. But you could pick any one you wanted. What faith would you choose? What god would be your patron deity?
I would go with Norse paganism or Asatru, because that is. I get asked. This is another question I get very frequently in my lives, which we're at 140 now. Hi.
I know, but you always answer like I wouldn't because I don't, and that's a boring answer. Give us a real answer.
So I get asked about my necklace a lot because it's Mjolnir, and I made this because when I was a Christian, I always wore a cross around my neck, and when I stopped, like I needed something because I felt naked not wearing a necklace. I had someone made a stitched a video of mine today and was like, you claim to be an atheist, but you have all these like Nordic runes in the background of your videos, like so you're actually pagan and you're being dishonest. And I was like, no, but that is my heritage. My ancestors came from Norway. My last name means badger, which is tied to anyway. So yeah, I would go with that because I love the mythology. I love the symbolism.
Yeah,
and all that.
You can have an appreciation for the culture, for the mythology without actually believing in the mythology. I feel the same way about Celtic mythology.
Which is what I said to him.
Like I've got fucking supernatural and Cthulhu mythos tattooed on me. It doesn't mean I fucking believe in Cthulhu.
Yeah. I got a warrior binder in my hand, and it's got Mjolnir. So like, yeah, like you don't have to literally believe everything just to appreciate the aesthetic or the lessons and mythology behind it. Okay, how do you stop feeling?
Elisa asks, how do I stop? Yeah, I was going to read that for you. Sorry.
How do you stop
feeling bad about yourself when you're constantly told that you're no good, a sinner, broken, needing saving, etc.? How do you shake that feeling, Mr. Brock?
That's a tough one to answer because I don't struggle with that. Like I don't feel guilty. But I understand that problem exists for some people. Like that's a lingering thing for a lot of people. Like the fear of hell is a lingering thing. For me, it was like purity culture is what fucked me up. That's what was lingering for me that I had to fight the hardest against. But when when people say you're no good, sinner, broken. I don't know. I have to think about this.
My go-to, I ask them how I'm sinning. Because I'm married to a woman. I have kids. For all outside appearances anybody knows, I don't have sex with men. So, anyway. Sorry. What? No. So it's like, how am I sinning? And the answer I'll usually get is that I'm like trying to lead people away from the flock, or that I don't believe in God. And I
just became an atheist. How do I stop?
Like, okay, can you point me to a verse in? Oh, how do I stop from eating all these babies?
That's the best comment. Best comment of the night, right there. Anyway, sorry.
My response to that then is that I'm just providing information. I'm not trying to stop people who believe from believing. And as a matter of fact, I tell people, occasionally, it hasn't come up recently, I don't think, that like you can believe in whatever you want, just leave other people the fuck alone. And then like, if it continues, I'll bring up Matthew 7. Judge not, lest you be judged, for by the measure you are judged, you will be judged, yada, yada. And then even further in Matthew 7, fuck, there's another part to it later in the chapter that's, the same fucking thing that like, reinforces that. Like Jesus himself is telling you not to tell people that they will go to hell, or you will go to hell. Yeah, so it's beware of the false prophets, all this shit. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven will enter. Many will say to me on that day, we not prophet in your name, cast out demons, perform many miracles, and I will declare to them, I never knew you. Leave me, you who practice lawlessness. So anybody who's judging you, who's telling you you're a sinner, you're going to hell, you're broken, yada, yada, blah, blah, fuck you and your mom and the horse you rode in on.
And your
They
couch.
are disregarding the orders of Jesus. So it's one thing for the Great Commission. It's one thing to teach the gospel. But if you are forcing the gospel on people who have heard it and don't believe in it, you're done. Leave them alone.
Yeah.
You're not gonna change minds. Like, it ain't happening.
And I would say too, tell them you don't see it as sinning. Like sin is just a label you put on that the church has put on certain behaviors that most of the time are something that comes natural to us as fucking human beings. It's just something that the church has added, put a label onto it in order to try and get us to stop it because they don't understand it. Like sex, homosexuality, whatever. Like, they don't understand it. And what they don't understand, they're afraid of. So instead of trying to understand it, it's easier to suppress it. So that's what they do. So realize, like, I'm not sinning. You're the one saying I'm sinning. I'm just living my life. You're the one who's judging that and putting that label of sin on certain things that I do with my life, which is my own to do with what I please. So yeah, realize that sin it's an artificial concept that's placed upon you to control you, to get you to stop doing certain things that they don't like. Or you can tell them to fuck off your couch.
Well, there's an answer to this question. Somebody in my live asked about judge righteously, excuse bullshit. And then, the Druid practice. Sorcha, I need to start adding some Druidic books to my bookshelf. I have a lot. A good starting point is Magic of the Celtic Otherworld by Blamiers. I just love that it has like a pronunciation guide and it kind of goes over most of the like basic information that you need to know. So Magic of the Celtic Otherworld looks like this, but I do want to get to that other question about judging righteously because there's an answer to that. This is what it looks like, just so you know. Love that book. Anyway, judging righteously. So that's from John 7:24. That's Jesus specifically talking about him violating the laws of Moses. He's not telling you to judge other people righteously. What he's asking the Pharisees not to judge him based on the laws that he's breaking, but on why he's breaking those laws. That has nothing to do with Christians saying that they can tell people they're going to hell. Nothing to do with that. Nothing at all. That is specific for him. That is like, ask them, like, have you read that chapter? Do you know what that means? Are you calling yourself Jesus? Shut the fuck up. Like, sorry, you're talking to your life?
Yeah, I just say, hey, someone's asking about where they can find the YouTube. So I figured I'd just mute this and then talk to them for a second.
You're in my live because it's still at 24 people. We're on Captain Dadpool's YouTube where we do Nerds and Heresy every Sunday. We're doing a different live show every Thursday where it's just us taking questions. And
9 o'clock.
Which is crazy.
You never have this many at night.
Not usually. I don't usually break up. I usually get close. Sometimes I go a little bit over. But today I've got 140.
Some guy said
that
you were the top live on his For You page.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, son.
Nice. Don't trip, I think, is how that is. He just has no vowels. Or she. My bad. Did not mean to assume your gender. Asks what our thought on omnism is. So I'm actually a pantheist druid, and that ties into what I was saying earlier, like whether or not Yahweh exists as an actual entity, he exists as a belief. And so my thought process on omnism and pantheism is that like beliefs are real and they have power. So whether or not the gods themselves are real is irrelevant, because people, like, they manifest to an extent their will through their followers, in that what their followers do is a direct reflection of them, right? And Yahweh's followers are dickbags. Most of them, anyway. There's a handful that are okay people, but they're the ones that, like, don't make excuses for the bullshit that's in the Bible, and they're like, okay, well, it was written by men. Whether or not it was inspired by God, it was written by men, and men aren't perfect, right? But, you know, take that a step further. It itself is bullshit for a lot of reasons. Fuck. Sorry.
All right, so I want to address a couple things. Why doesn't Dadpool have any books like Crimson? I do. They're to the right of me. My camera's just not facing them. They're all my
he's
go-to.
got books.
I've got
You have shelves that are like the hidden shelves. I love those, and they're full of shit.
Yeah.
I just happen to have mine like in reach. Sorry, that's just where they are on my desk.
And what was the other one? Can you start a cult? Yes. We would.
We do on Thursdays and Sundays on this YouTube channel.
We worship cats. All right, so I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Wait,
Can we expand that to doggos too? Just any
Jonas,
Update.
Show my live. Say hi to the live streams. Say hi.
That's your kid.
This is Gurr.
I'm gonna sing the Doom song now. About what I used to know like every fucking girl on like favorite show. What are you whining about? You hear me whining? You hear me meowing?
Gee,
My dog is freaking the fuck out about your cats.
Which is a which is a kind of a rip off of Tigger from Winnie the Pooh, because he says T-I double G-er.
Oh yeah, I guess he does.
So
the wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tiggers are the wonderful things.
yep. So I wonder if they have a copyright lawsuit on their hands.
Fun. My cat heard the kitten and now he's searching.
Is to watch.
Ooh, a list of fellow atheists to watch. I don't have.
You know, if we're starting a cult for cats and furries, that's technically we would then worship the Egyptian goddess Bastet.
Yeah,
and
we would go
she's Catwoman.
Full circle, baby, all the way back to Egyptian.
Fuck yeah. The tops are made out of rubber. The tails are made out of springs. Thank you. I couldn't remember that line, Mommy Foul Mouth. Thank you. The tops are made out of rubber. The tails are made out of springs.
Top atheist content creators. There's a lot. I'm only following like 300 people on my TikTok. I think half of them are atheists, maybe a little bit less than. Anyway, you can scroll through there and find there, but like atheist troll Jeff, atheist Jesus, or J Mike is one of my favorite.
And Lilith is right 666. Lilith Unleashed, Infidel Noodle.
Infidel Noodle, but she's not on there very often because she's got fucking cunt bags after her 24/7. So she's more active on Twitter and YouTube lately.
I really like, he's a smaller creator, but I really like Dean Grove's son. So he is an atheist, but he talks about the Orishas and the Yoruba religion a lot. And I just love learning about that kind of thing. Ooh, shit. Are you okay? You break something? What'd you break? What? Was it one of the good mugs? Okay, cool. Sorry. Okay. Just breaking glass. Dean Grove's son. Son, S-U-N. Well, baby, you all right?
I like a Red Toxic one too. He's a very small. Like he doesn't even have 1,000 yet.
I just love his marker drawings, though.
The first video I saw of him is he had a drawing of GLaDOS from Portal, and he popped up on a few pages, and he was like, I can't decide if the Abrahamic God is GLaDOS from Portal or if GLaDOS from Portal is the Abrahamic God. And then he went on. I was like, yo.
He asked me specifically to do a breakdown of El and the Elohim and how Yahweh fits into it. And I've been meaning to go buy an easel and like whiteboard markers to do a Red Tyler 1 video.
I did an impression of him a while back. Did you see that?
Yeah. When they were doing the which atheist content creator am I?
Yeah, that was fun times.
That shit.
What was your childhood like? My parents got divorced when I was 3. My dad is in the military. He was a tanker. I was born in Texas, then lived in Germany and raised in Virginia after the divorce. Single mom. She had a couple of other kids with another guy, so I have a younger brother and younger half brother, younger half sister. Grew up very poor. We had CYS
Yes.
CYS called on us a lot because my mom worked and left me alone in charge of my little brother and sister. So I pretty much took care of them and raised them. But yeah, that's pretty much from my childhood. Pretty shitty. Oh, and my brother and sister's father stole my Nintendo, like original Nintendo, and sold it. So yeah, fuck him.
Well, that's rude. My family tree and my childhood is confusing as shit, and that is worth 30 minutes just to explain it. Suffice to say, I have 9 brothers, and almost none of us have the same mother and father.
Yeah. Yeah, your sounds a lot more convoluted than mine, which is saying something. Was your family upset when you told them they're atheists? No, my parents aren't particularly religious. Like, my mom believes in God and she believes in the supernatural. She super believes in ghosts. She has a TikTok and she talks about ghost stories all the time. So she doesn't care. My dad isn't really, but my dad's a big conspiracy theorist, Trump supporter guy. I pretty much stopped talking to him because I couldn't handle his shit anymore.
Druid, I bet that's an awkward Thanksgiving. My mom now. So I have 2 funny stories just to tie how my childhood worked out. I'll give you 2. I can get my mom with and it's great. So I came back from my last deployment because I'm also Army but reserves. So I came back from my last deployment in 2018. And when I got off the plane, my parents were there to meet me. They were asking to do that. And I was like, yeah, sure. But I lived across the street from the airport. I could have taken my tough box had a roller on it. I literally could have rolled my luggage across the street. It would have taken 5-10 minutes. But they insisted on picking me up. And the first thing my mom says to me is not how have you been? Nice tan? None of that shit. She asks where my wife is. And I tell her, I'm like, she's across the street at home with the kids. And she's like, if it were me, when my husband got off the plane after deployment, I would have been there to meet him off the plane. And I told her, I said, Mom, when my dad came home from the first Desert Storm, you had cleaned out the bank accounts, took all the furniture, and were living in Louisiana with the kids and your new boyfriend. My wife is across the street with our children. We're fine. So that's hilarious. She always wants to bring up that my dad may or may not have been cheating on her. And I'm like, you married his supervisor. Stop talking. Because my stepdad is my dad's old E6 from 7th Special Forces Group. So, yeah. So now, Thanksgiving, she wants to start in on Mormonism and in general. I just dropped another little nugget. You want to try to talk religion with me? Talk religion. So last time it was, did you know that Joseph Smith told 9 different versions of his story about we got the golden plates? 9 different versions of that story. And she yelled at me. She's like, don't you ever talk about my beliefs again. I was like, I'm just letting you know. You asked me. Let's talk about it. So yeah. So yes, indeed, it is an awkward Thanksgiving.
So we're coming up to 2 hours now. I think we could talk all night, but we have lives outside of TikTok and YouTube. So I think we should start wrapping it up here. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoy this? Is this something you want us to keep doing? I enjoyed it. I had fun. Did you have fun, Crimson?
I had fun. Somebody asked what I'm wearing. It's my depression hoodie, Al Breezy. It is a boxing shirt. It is a hoodie with no sleeves. What's up? Sorry. Do you want to go out on a nerdy note?
He wears it when he has the big sad. Yeah. What do you got in
When
mind?
I have the big sad. I got a lot of yeses in the comments that they had fun. So that's good. Yes, more please. Yes, dope.
There's a ton in your
Josiah, when it's over, you can watch from the beginning if you want. It's up to you.
Cool.
What was I going to so somebody asked earlier about Disney movies. So you said Mulan, favorite Disney princess. You said WALL-E was your favorite Pixar movie, and Robin Hood's your favorite Disney movie. Favorite Disney song, though?
Oh. Oh, that is a tough one. I'd have to think about that one.
There's a lot of good ones.
Right. Tarzan soundtrack was fucking fire. And so was Mulan. Like my like shoot from the hip answer would be like Someday I'll Make a Man Out of You and from Mulan.
That's a good one. But that is one that comes up a lot.
My favorite. That's just like the first one that comes to my mind. Wait, if
like
losing you? Hey, we were talking about you earlier. Noodles in My Life.
Noodles in the Life. Yeah. Sorry. Somebody said Into the Unknown. That would be Max's answer, and it's wrong. Which isn't Frozen Pixar.
Shade.
I love it. No, Friend Like Me though, and especially so like there's the new Aladdin, which is good, but somebody made a mashup duet of Will Smith's Genie and Robin Williams' Genie singing Friend Like Me, and it's fucking great. Tron Legacy is not the best Disney soundtrack. How dare you? I stand by Tarzan. Somebody earlier said Why Should I Worry by Oliver and Company was the best song.
I have that on my playlist.
That song is amazing. I still think Friend Like Me, and specifically that version of it, that's the mashup. There's also another person who did Moana from the beginning of the movie. What's that song called? I don't remember, but they mashed that up with Hercules' I Can Go the Distance. That's fucking great. I love that song. Maybe I just like mashups. But
anything. Notre Dame. That's a good one. Is that's Disney, right?
Yeah.
Hunchback.
Yeah, Hunchback. Hunchback?
Yeah.
Hunchback is definitely Disney. War of the Ring board game. I don't know what that is. He's a Tramp is pretty awesome. I don't know. Either way.
I did not like the Aladdin.
You didn't like what in Aladdin?
I didn't like the live action Aladdin.
I liked Will Smith.
Yeah, he didn't
I didn't
do
like
bad.
anything else.
Yeah, like Robin Williams is big shoes to fill. Will Smith did he did as good a job as he possibly could, I think.
There were a couple of moments that I was like, oh, that would have been better if they had stuck to the original in how it was done, but they like redid it. So like in the Friend Like Me song, he doesn't say Aladdin because he doesn't know his name yet. And it's like, how hard would it have been to do introductions and then the song so that you could put the name Aladdin in the song? So it's Mr. What's your name? That line, it doesn't fit, and it just kind of like chops up the song, which is probably why I like the mashup better, because I think they say, Mr. Aladdin, sir, have a dish or two or three. So anyway, I just wanted to like end on a nerdy note because that's what we always do.
Yeah. I also didn't like the live action Lion King because
I haven't seen it yet.
So they took a lot of they kept a lot of the original dialogue, but they added like to it. So the dialogue is very fast. Like they talk very fast, and they say like the exact same thing that was said in the animated one, plus like another line or something. And yeah, they all talk really fast.
Yeah, that would bother me. I need subtitles when I watch movies. Don't trip. The original Aladdin is amazing, and King of Thieves is amazing, but Return of Jafar sucks horribly. And part of it is that Robin Williams isn't Genie in Return of Jafar.
I have a kid attacking my toes.
So the original Aladdin is great, and the King of Thieves is great. I think John Rhys Davis voices Aladdin's father, and I don't know, the songs were good in it too, but Yeah, Return of Jafar was trash. That was one of the rare occurrences where the second movie was the worst movie. It's usually the third movie is the worst movie.
Yeah. Did you see
Like
the
Matrix
live
movies.
Mulan?
I haven't. Isn't it? It's not a musical, right? Didn't they take all the songs out?
They took the songs out of it. They took Mushu out of it. It wasn't bad. Oh, hey, Oz. Oz is alive.
They took Mushu out? I am a dragon, not a lizard. I don't do that tongue thing.
They made it more historically accurate and more realistic. So they took like Mushu, they took like the cricket out. They took the musical out. So they made it like a realistic, which they did a good job. And it wasn't bad, but
so they shouldn't have called it like Disney's Mulan. It should have even if Disney had done it, they should have put it under one of the 1,000 studios that they own. It could have just been Mulan, not the live action Mulan. If it's not a musical, don't call it the live action Mulan. Anyway, I don't know. I'm just whining. They took Mushu out because it's not any kind of supernatural. It's historically accurate, apparently.
Yeah.
Maybe it's worth a watch then? Well, I guess I'm alone in this.
It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch, but
Dishonor to you. Dishonor to you.
Yeah. Good times.
All right.
Milan, the Snyder Cut.
Started to do the Snyder Cut.
That was a great comment.
Fun fact.
That's close to the best comment.
I'm pretty sure the first Superman, like new Superman, and then Suicide Squad is the only thing I've seen in the DCU in the last 15, 20 years.
Really?
Yeah. Because The Dark Knight Rises, I feel like that came out when I was in high school. Wait, what year was that? Okay, so that one. But that's not part of the new DCU, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't seen Wonder Woman. I haven't seen Aquaman. Did Cyborg get his own movie? Of course not.
No, Wonder Woman and Aquaman are very good. They're worth watching.
For all the right reasons.
I'll say it. Cyborg didn't get his own movie because he's black. Fix that, DC. You fucks. Sorry.
Little Crimson Riding Hood. I'll see you, Oz. And then
what did Oz say about me?
He said, "When did Captain hire Little Crimson Riding Hood?"
I've gotten some shit too. Anastasia, I wish you were a LARPer.
Oh, Anastasia. That's not a Disney.
That's not. They said I know it's not Disney, but Anastasia's wonderful. I feel like you love that movie, don't you, Anastasia?
The soundtrack on that one is probably better than any Disney movie, actually.
Somebody says they wish I was a LARPer, like in the Renaissance,
like live action role play.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
do that, but not for free. Shit. What? You want to take us out, man, and I'll hit the outro button. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Check us out on Sunday. We're going to be having Hyperhumanity on. We're going to be talking about Gnosticism, and we're going to keep doing this probably every Thursday, same time, same channel. Yeah, this is fun. Thanks for joining us. Sorry if we didn't get to your questions. We got a lot of them, and we kind of went off on some tangents. But
for sure.
No, for sure. But yeah, appreciate you guys coming join us. You know what?
Okay, now you can click.
Okay, now I can click. I don't know what that means. All right. So yeah, we're going to sign off. Appreciate you guys. And we'll catch you next time.
Yep. Love you all. See you Sunday for Hyperhumanity and Gnosticism on our regular scheduled show. Peace out.
Yep. Deuces.